Hello YouTube, Nate here, also known as NG Silver, and I'm here with a pickup video. I recently got back from a vacation I took visiting my parents down in Kentucky, and well, I picked up some interesting stuff while I was there. So let's get started. Let me show you all what I picked up. So just a few things that I picked up on this vacation. One of the things that's kind of cool about the area my parents live in is the resale market is really big in that area. And so there are a lot of little resale shops. There's a big chain called the Book and Music Exchange down there. And there's a couple other smaller shops in that area. And so every time I go down, I want to hit those places because you never know what you might find. I go looking for certain LPs that I want to pick up because I've recently gotten into listening to music on vinyl, so I want to see if I can find some of the old stuff there. I also look for CDs that I never got a chance to buy as a kid, or I only had the tape version, and so I tried to see if somebody's turned in a CD of it. I picked up a couple MC Hammer CDs and some other things while I was down there. They've got books, tons of books for you to pick out. Tons of Star Trek books while I was down there. That was really cool, and big selection of manga if you're into that. And of course, DVDs, Blu-rays, and video games. So while we're down there, saw and decided to stop and see what we could find. So some of the stuff that I picked up, let's see here. The local comic book shop actually had a sale on some of the DVDs that they've had in stock for quite some time. So I decided, hey, why don't I go pick a couple of these up, because they're just the type that I like to buy. Something I used to call most of my DVD and whatnot buying back in the day was called source getting. I make AMVs, so I like to have lots and lots of sources. You can see behind me with all of these DVDs and whatnot. So I like to find things that are obscure, something that I'd never heard of before but sounds interesting, and pretty much anything that I can find that is from back in the cell animation days, because that's kind of what my big bread and butter is. I love the look of cell animation. I love the work that goes into it, so I like to find these things, and you never know what you might find, and sometimes these things might be fun. So yeah, you probably will wind up seeing some of the stuff I'm going to show you on a future episode sometime, but for now, I picked it up. So first one I found here is called Area 88, The Blue Skies of Betrayal. This is a US manga release, as you can see up here. Just a modest little DVD. This was the original Area 88, as far as I remember, as the background onto this particular series. It had gotten a fairly recent remake done called Area 88, and it's a fighter pilot anime. So you got jets and whatnot, and just a fun little show. Don't know too much about it, but eventually I'll watch it and I'll know a lot more. Next up on the list that I picked up there at the comic book shop is Space Travelers: The Animation. Don't really know anything about it, but it looks cool. It's got some interesting looking character art on the front here, which I found interesting. In fact, on the top it says starring Hayabusa Jetter, Irene Bear, Black Cat, Dragon Attack, Crush Bomber, Hioi, Gold Papillion, Electric Sunny, and Carl Hendricks. So yeah, an interesting cast of characters here. This is AnimeWorks DVD. It's got a couple special features, scene access, interactive menus, typical stuff you see from AnimeWorks and US Manga Corp style releases of lesser known animes and things. So this is going to be neat. Can't wait to check it out. So that's what we got at the comic book shop. it's a comic book shop I used to shop at back when I lived with my parents and whatnot. And so it's always nice to go back there, see what they have. They have a lot of My Little Pony stuff. It's huge. The comic book shops around here in the Detroit area, they're all really tiny and have a lot of stuff packed into it. This place is big, expansive, and still has a lot of stuff packed into it. So it's kind of neat to see the difference between a comic book shop that's actually thriving in a large space versus the ones that are kind of struggling in some of the smaller spaces. But, you know, it's the way it is over there, and it's tons of fun to go back every so often and see what's up. Let's see. A couple other little touristy things that we had done on our way down to Kentucky. We decided to stop off in Toledo and go to the Toledo Art Museum. It's free to go in. They don't charge anything for the museum. It's just $5 to park. And while we were there, they've got something going on till sometime mid-August, late August here, called the Art of Video Games. And you can see a little pamphlet here for that. If you have a chance, go check it out. It's kind of neat. You get to sit down and kind of see the different art styles and the way art's portrayed in video games from the early era of the Atari, ColecoVision, and whatnot, all the way up to current gen PS3. They didn't have anything for the PS4 or the Xbox One, but it only goes up to the PS3 360 generation. But it's still kind of neat to see all the different games, the things. They got this nice little tiny exhibit, a few games that you can actually play. I believe you can play Pac-Man, Super Mario Brothers. I believe it's Pirates and Flower. And there's one other game that I can't remember what the game was. And then beyond that, they've got a couple of actual arcade machines down in the lobby area that you can sit down and you can play a few different arcade games. So it's kind of neat to go and check that out. While we were there, I actually picked up a CD, which should be in here. Yes, here it is. While I was checking out the gift shop, they were playing some music, some chiptune music, and I love chiptune music. It's something that's really grown on me over the past few years. And so they were selling this thing called Chiptopia, the best of 8-bit weapon and computer. So 16 tracks on that, and we listened to that on the drive. And so it was kind of cool to see that and go see the exhibit and whatnot. So yeah. That's really all I have to say about that. Kind of fun, touristy type things to do while we are on our way. So, next stack of pickups. So we got a few discs here. So we'll take a look at these. First up, I picked up 3 more discs to add to my collection of DNA Squared. I picked up Mutation, which is episodes 7 through 9, Metamorphosis, which is episodes 1 through 3, and then Crossfire, which is 10 through 12, which means I now, with the one that I have back here, I now have episodes 1 through 12. I don't remember if this was only a 12-episode series or not. If it is, I now have a complete collection. If it's not, I guess I've got some more to collect here. DNA Squared is a show that was actually made from the same creator who made Video Girl I. So it's kind of neat to see that, and it's kind of about a time traveler who comes back in time in order to stop this super guy who breaks all the women's hearts or whatnot, the super playboy or something, comes back in time, and the main character, this guy, who you can see there, he has this problem where he sees a girl and he's deathly allergic to girls. So he basically gets close to a girl and then starts to puke. So, and somehow through an inadvertent thing, he was supposed to be this super playboy and was inadvertently turned into the super playboy by the time-traveling character, this character here on the front. So and then hilarity ensues. Definitely a different type of story from Video Girl Eye, and it'll be interesting to sit down and actually watch through all of this now that I've got a complete set. So, next up, I picked up Megazone 23 Part 1. I've heard about this show before, but I've never actually had a chance to sit down and watch it, collect it. This is the first of this that I've been able to pick up. This basically takes us through the first few episodes of the show, 85 minutes total of content. It's drawn in a very similar style to Robotech or Mega Road or Macross, all of that you remember and most people know from the 80s. As this is a 1985 production. This disc was put out by ADV, and I need to actually go check up and see if there are other volumes of this, and if there are, pick them up. I mean, I assume, since they do say Part 1, that there are more parts of this, but then again, this wouldn't be the first time that I've purchased something from ADV where they released one part of it and nothing else. A couple other shows that I know of that they didn't release the rest of. Queen Emeraldus, there's another 2 episodes in that OVA series that they didn't bring out here in the US, and Dragoon, which only got the first 4 episodes released. I guess it didn't sell well enough or something, and so they didn't bring it out. And this has a very similar story, kind of to The Matrix, so this is one of the animes that kind of was the inspiration for The Matrix, so it's kind of cool to own this. And it'll be cool to actually sit down and watch this. Alright, next up is something that I don't buy too often, but I decided to pick it up because, well, it just looks interesting. And that is Submarine 707R. And this is a nice shiny disc. The actual artwork here is printed on glossy, so it kind of comes out and it's see-through, which is kind of a neat thing. This is a Geneon release, and let me try and get this back here. There we go. And because of the fact of the type of the type of backing that they have on here, it wants to go on one way and one way only. But yeah, this is a movie that is released in Dolby Digital DTS Surround. So it's one of the rare shows, one of the rare movies and things that have been released and actually have high quality audio into it. And of course, that's because it's a fairly new show. This is obviously not a cel-drawn show. This movie here was definitely done in the newer CG style of things. And it's a 100-minute movie, an anamorphic 16:9, and has a 5.1 surround English track, and has a 5.1 Japanese track as well. And just looking at it, it just looked cool, looked interesting. So I decided to pick her up, and I'll give her a watch sometime. Next up on the list is something I have seen before, but never got around to actually buying it, and that is Spriggan. This is a pretty popular older show, came out back in the 90s, and it's rated R, actually. One of the few animes that got an actual MPAA rating, and not the typical anime rating of 7 up, 18 up, 16 up, that type of thing. What's really interesting that I always thought about this anime is that it's called Spriggan, but there's really only one Spriggan in the show. Hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler for you. It's been a long time since I've seen this. But this is one of the pinnacle shows, one of the pinnacle movies that had come out in previous years, at least as far as what I would consider my generation of anime collectors and watchers should go. So this was produced by ADV, came out a while ago, and I now finally own it. So it's kind of cool to have that. And last on the pickups that I'd gotten from this is Cyber City, the Final Collection. Now, what's interesting is that they had this version as well as the original release Cyber City Odeo, and that's what this is. This is Cyber City Odeo, but it's called Cyber City the Final Collection. And that's because this actually has commentary from the creators. You get it. It has an audio commentary by Yoshiaki Kawaji and Maso Mairuyama in both Episode 1, Time Bomb, and Episode 2, The Decoy. It includes all 3 episodes of this OVA and is rated as a 16 and up title. This was a US manga release, and this is the newer disc. I decided not to pick up the older disc and only pick up this disc. I had some limited funds, and so I couldn't pick up both of them. And honestly, I really only wanted to own one, so I decided to own the newer release. The case is a little scratched up. It's not that great, but the disc plays fine, works fine, and it's nice to finally actually own this classic in my collection. This is one of the shows that used to come on late at night that they play on Sci-Fi, or you would go and actually watch TV late at night and you would actually see advertisements for anime. It's not child stuff. And they'd show you things like Akira and Cyber City Odeo and all of these other shows that are violent and just gory and bloody and not kids stuff, and try to sell that to you and charge you a pretty penny for the VHS tapes at those times. But it's kind of neat to finally own one of these. I've been looking for this for a while, and it was cool to actually see a copy of this up on the actual case. So I picked it up. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the anime and whatnot that I picked up this time around. Obviously, I plan to pick up a lot more the next convention I head to, which is Anime Week in Atlanta. And actually, on my way back home, I'll be passing through my parents, spending a night there to rest on the trip back from Georgia. From Atlanta, and while I'm there, I'm going to be stopping at all these shops again and see what I can pick up there. Hopefully I'll have a little bit of money left over from Anime Week in Atlanta. Don't spend it all at the convention. Can actually pick up some more things. There was some stuff that I actually didn't pick up while I was down there because I just didn't have the money for it. I'm on vacation. I needed to pay for room and board and food and all this other stuff, so I didn't get a chance to pick up as much as I wanted to. But yeah, next time I'm through, I'm going to hopefully those discs are still sitting there for me and I can pick those up. That's pretty much it. That's all she wrote about my about the pickups that I had on my vacation. And now you've seen it, and hopefully coming up shortly you'll get to see some of these actually played. And oh, I picked up one more thing. Like I said, picked up video games. So jump cut and I'll show you the last thing I got. Alright, I'm back. I'd almost forgotten about this because as soon as I got home I actually put this right up into my collection because, well, I wanted to get all of my RPGs put in order, and this one needed to be added to the stack. And what I picked up while I was down there is Saga Frontier 2. This is a Squaresoft title. It is a Squaresoft RPG drawn in a very similar art style, actually, to Final Fantasy Tactics. When I was younger, my brother actually picked up Saga Frontier 1. I believe it was 1. That he had picked up. It might have been 3. He picked up one of them, and he'd sit there and play it, and looked a lot of fun. And so I've been kind of trying to find the collection and add these to my RPG collection. Saw this and was like, do I own this? Do I own this? And turns out I didn't, and I'm glad I picked it up. Sits there, works well, plays well. There's an advertisement for Vagrant Story and Front Mission. Comes with came complete with the disc and with the with the manual. Kind of some cool little box art and things in here. Pretty much just came with the disc, the manual, and my receipt. And that's pretty much it. It was kind of nice to finally pick this up. I got a chance to test it out. Plays fine, looks fine. Can't wait to actually sit down and try this out. Now, granted, I don't know when I'm going to get to this because I have a giant backlog of RPGs to get through, especially PS1 RPGs. So this is going to go on the list, and at some point in time I'll pick it up and play it, and hopefully maybe we'll get to see some footage of that too. Either way, that is the last of my trip to Kentucky, my vacation. Last of the pickups that I had gotten recently, and the last of the pickups that will probably be showing here until I get back from Anime Week in Atlanta, which is the last weekend / first weekend of September and October. So until then, well, I'll see you all later. Nate, signing out.